So this video goes out especially to all my fellow YouTubers, homesteaders, and anyone who makes bread with natural leaven or uses natural leaven. I need your help. So last week, I'm trying to think of what time it was. Sometime last week, I was given some starter by a friend, a lovely friend who was willing to help me out. But then I was really busy. I had no time to do any research. So Friday, I noticed that the starter was starting to have a little bit of hooch on top. And I don't want a sourdough bread. I want a naturally leavened bread that's not sour. And so I got a little scared and I quickly looked online and I saw one suggestion that was 1 part starter and then you mix in 2 parts flour, and I can't remember how much water, but so I did that. So I started out with 2 cups in a jar. I think I ended up with between 4 and 6 cups in one of these large jars. And by last night, when I looked at it, it was full to the top and all bubbly and really active. And so I'm like, oh no, okay, I gotta split it again. I don't want this to get sour. So I split it into this jar and this jar and this jar and this jar. You can see my problem already. And added more flour. This time I didn't do, I think I did 2 parts starter to 1 part flour, at least with most of them. And again, I'm ending up with a lot of starter and I need to start using it. So I contacted my friend, which is what I should have done right off the bat, and she gave me her recipe. But if you guys have any ideas on how to use all the starter, I need waffle recipes and bread recipes, and remembering that I'm not going for a sour bread. I know that mostly people use it for a sourdough bread. I'm just looking for a naturally leavened bread. So let me know in the comments any suggestions, any recipes, any links to videos that might be helpful for me. Thank you guys, and I'll show you the results of my best efforts. So I just wanted to show you the texture. I fed it again this morning and it's been about 4.5 hours or 5 hours since I fed it. And this is the texture that I have. I'm going to use 2 cups of this starter. I'm using my bread machine to mix it because at this point I want to just make things as simple as I can. So I'm adding 2 tablespoons of blackstrap molasses. I like the flavor that the molasses imparts. We are also going to add 2 tablespoons of honey. As well as 2 tablespoons of oil. Sometimes I use olive oil, sometimes I use sunflower oil, and you can use whichever oil you like. Now we're adding half a teaspoon of Himalayan salt, but you can use sea salt. And since my starter is whole grain, we added 2 cups of white flour to lighten the texture a bit. As it mixed, I had to add a little more water. How much depends on how runny the starter was. So I made 3 loaves yesterday. I was a little scared with my starter bread, so I made a loaf with the regular yeast as well, just in case, because we needed bread. So unfortunately, because I made this one and it rose really fast, this one had to wait to go in, so it kind of fell over a little bit. But it was rising really nice, and then it got a little Cajun because the fire needed stoking. So these two did a little better. But anyways, so I'm just going to cut into them so I can see what they're like. So this is the regular yeast. Let me see, I should probably turn it. And this seems like, so these are similar recipe. So obviously this one's a little more dense.
Mm-hmm.
Second slice off both of them. There we go. Should straighten it out.
So this one is definitely a lot denser than this one.
So I might not have left it to rise long enough because it's so different for me. The rising time is hugely different between instant yeast, obviously. But it's not so dense that it's hard dense. So next time I'll just have to let it rise longer, I think. This one got a long time to rise. I'd like to see slicing into that one maybe.
How are you going to do that?
I don't know. I'm just going to go like this. Alright. So this one is definitely...
It's a lot closer to the yeast one.
A lot closer crumb to this yeast one. Very, very similar. So it was just the rise time. I just didn't wait long enough for the other loaf. But this one had a different recipe. This one I used more of the starter. I used half of this one, and I put 3 cups starter, 3 cups white flour. And I think this one was just similar to my normal recipe. Other than having burned it, I'm quite happy with the texture of it. It's a little bit, you can almost feel that it's a tiny bit more glutinous feeling. Maybe not. I think these two are pretty similar, and I think if I had left this one longer to rise to the same size, I would probably have gotten the same result. Now, the question is there any sour taste to it? There's no sour smell. No real smell difference between the two. Does anybody want to be the guinea pig to taste it?
You.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's the dense one.
I don't know. I think you're going to have to taste a piece too.
Mm.
Want a piece?
Not really sour. Just a little different.
You want to try one of the other one? Mm-hmm. I see. Because it's only fair if we're comparing apples to apples.
Well, it's kind of apples to oranges.
Well, it's all bread.
I think it's about the same.
It is a slight difference.
Well, they did say the amount of salt you put in can change the flavor of the bread too.
But I wouldn't say it's overly heavy or sour. I'd say it's a good start. I'm pretty happy with it.
It's not
Now
sour,
what about that one?
but it might be a bit.
You want to try a piece? We're gonna have all these little pieces of bread here.
Yeah, that'll be okay.
That one's almost like regular bread.
So it had a longer rising time, which should have made it more sour if it
But
was
it's
going
not
to get sour. I think the biggest thing. Oh, that is lovely. I
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
like regular bread.
I almost think that tastes better than this.
Maybe.
So this one needed a little bit more something. I don't know. This one had more salt than this one. I think I put 1 teaspoon in this one and half a teaspoon in this one, so maybe that changed the flavor too. Well, there you have it. The beginnings. I'm happy with the results. A longer rise time. It was great bread. It wasn't sour. I did use a lot more starter than most people would, but that was because I was going for the not sour bread. And that was one of the suggestions I saw, was that if you don't want it sour, to put more starter in. So this was half-half, and I'm pretty happy with that. And then that one had 1 teaspoon of salt, so it turned out okay. So maybe I'll shape the loaf differently and not burn it next time, but anyways, if you guys have any ideas on other recipes where I can use my starter up because it's multiplying fast, let me know in the comments. Thanks.